All right. Hi, everybody.
Hi,
I'm John
I'm Joni.
for Grow, Love, and Expand, coming at you once again. I hope you're all having a wonderful day, experiencing yourself in the greatness that is you. Remember, you are great. Always be great. Know that you are great. What is one of the biggest things that stops us from being great? What is one of the things that stops us from being who we truly want to be?
You want me to answer that?
What do you think?
Fear.
Fear. And what is fear? False evidence appearing real, they say. Right? And we talk about this like all the time, right? So when like, yeah, you have a question? Did you just think of a question? No?
No.
What were you thinking of?
No, I was just thinking of fear appears in so many ways, and for myself, I can only say it for myself. It stops me in a lot of places in my life. Holds me right back.
And why is that?
Well, I don't recognize it for one thing. I think it was taught to me, and it's hard. It's a hard thing to unlearn. Difficult thing to unlearn.
And why is it difficult to unlearn?
Because without knowing it, I fall back into the same pattern. I have to really stop, slow down, and look at every little thing. Am I showing the fear, or am I allowing myself to experience
Right.
whatever it is?
And so what's really holding you back? What is the kind of main ingredient behind fear that's not allowing you to express yourself fully or to experience yourself fully?
The main ingredient? Not sure what you mean.
Well, it's ego, right?
Right.
A lot of times it's our egos that is that mind chatter. A lot of time it's the ego's unwillingness to step out of its comfort zone, right? Because it thinks it knows best, right?
Right.
And yet, when you look at a child, they just experience. They just, and people say, oh, we all need to be more childlike. Well, then why aren't you?
Yeah.
You know? Right. Why? Like, it irritates me to no end saying we do this for the children. No, you don't. You don't do anything for the children, okay? Because you pollute the air, you pollute the water, you pollute the food. Okay, you don't do anything for the children. So can we get off this? We do it for the children and children, because your words and action are totally two different things.
Yeah.
You do it to satisfy your own ego. It's ego-driven world. It's an ego-driven society, right?
Right.
That we know is counterproductive to the greater whole. That just is. Now, we can either admit that or not admit it. The only reason why we wouldn't admit it is because it bruises the ego.
Right.
And the ego goes, oh, I can't, I'm wrong? I can't be wrong.
Right.
How can I be wrong? I can't be wrong. Right?
All right.
So the ego goes, I'm not wrong. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Am I right? That's what it is. The ego's failure to understand itself is what stops us in our own growth. Right? And so before we even put our foot in the pool, we've already told ourselves 9 ways of why not to do it.
Right.
Right? But yet a kid goes jump in the pool, they jump in the pool.
Right.
They don't even know a shark's in there. They didn't even think about the shark.
Right.
And then they come out of the pool and nothing happened. And you go, did you realize there was 9 sharks in there? And you go, no, I didn't know that. Because they didn't think about it. So because they never thought about it, it never affected them.
Right.
You know what I mean? How many things do we do in our life affects us because we're doing it in fear? Right? Have you ever gone to a job interview and you've already lost it before you even stepped in the door? Like, a lot of times that's based on your own fear.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah, I know it has a lot to do with that other person you're interviewing with, their ego, and they're fearful of you because you might intimidate them. That's all true.
Right.
But for the most part, I think, we stop our own growth because of that fear. That fear factor. And a lot of that fear, the main ingredient behind that is ego. The ego's unwillingness to step out of its comfort zone because it doesn't like it. It likes to control its own environment, right? But yet, when you talk about God, Goddess, all that is, and you talk about the infinite dimensions, infinite reality of all things, God is limitless.
Right.
There is no ego because it just it doesn't exist. Everything is based on love. Everything is done in the aspect of love. So the reality of that, anything else other than that, it just simply doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So truly, ego was created by us. That's the duality.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Right.
It never really exists. It doesn't exist. And when you so-called move on to the next realm,
Illusion.
it's an illusion.
Right.
It's based on an illusion that someone's perpetrated upon you to control you.
That's cruel.
Well, it is cruel, but
It is.
but to continue to do it to yourself is cruel to you.
Right.
Right?
Once you realize it.
Right. Because, I mean, think about it for a second. 2 plus 2 is 4.
Mm-hmm.
But is it? Could it be 5? Right?
Right.
The mere aspect of like willing to experience that it might be 5 is really what you want to do, because then that is truly what science is, right? Science is the evolution of understanding of self to a certain degree, right? What we have today is not science. We can all agree it's not science. They call themselves scientists, but unless you want to create all realities and then not to define those, just because it doesn't fit in your hypothesis, and the reason why you don't want to acknowledge it is because of ego, because you had an hypothesis and you have to be right, but that's not science.
No.
Science is the exploration of understanding. Not so much truth, but understanding, right? What have I always said? I've always said that science and humanity will take a huge leap forward when they come to the understanding that there's a God. God got us all that is, whatever you want to call it. Now, I know people are going to try to define that in a religious term, and I totally do not mean that in any type of religious way at all. I'm just saying that there's an understanding of love that is transcending all realities of life that we are all a part of. And once human beings start to understand that concept, and science starts to understand that concept, we're going to make huge leaps forward in our understanding of self and the evolution of humanity. Because what the question they have to ask themselves that they don't have an answer for is, this doesn't equate to my hypothesis. And instead of your ego trying to prove your hypothesis correct, put your ego aside and go, well, maybe I don't know it all. Maybe the answer to this question is that there is an infinite reality that we call God, got us all that is, that actually is behind everything. And then if that is to be the case, let's go out to prove it. Let's find something to acknowledge this. And then someone would say, well, there is tons of evidence, tons of past life, people who have come back and have remembered lives like children that they've lived before.
Right.
That's a yes, okay. You do not die. You're a spiritual being. You're an energetic form having a human experience, right?
Right.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
But why don't we want to experience that? Why don't we explore these things, right? What are we afraid of? What are we afraid of becoming, right? Fear stops us from exploring ourselves and all that we are. For what purpose? Why? Look at the great expansion that is you. Like when you say, like when you think of God, God is all that is, or whatever, and you go, my God, this is so expansive. Wouldn't you want to experience that all the time? Wouldn't you want to be that?
For sure, absolutely.
Well, why do you stop it? Right? Fear. Fear stops us from expressing, from exploring that reality, and then you have to ask yourself, well, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of becoming?
Right.
Right? Like, are you afraid of losing control? Right? Ego.
You can only become more than what you are, not
You can only become more.
greater than what
You can, right. So why do you stop?
Right.
Ego. What are you afraid of losing control of? Ego wants control. Right?
Right.
What are you afraid of experiencing? Allowing yourself to be free? Ego doesn't like free. Ego wants to define and box and control.
Right.
It tries to understand, even when it's not understandable, right? Right?
Right.
Even science tries to explain itself away. Yet when they say, okay, let's just say Big Bang. Okay, but then when you say, okay, well, what created Big Bang? We have no idea. Well, shouldn't you start there then? Why are we, you know what I mean?
Right.
What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of finding out? Are you afraid of finding out that everything you've been taught your entire life is totally freaking wrong? Totally freaking wrong? That everything that you think you've been taught your entire life is a complete and total freaking wrong? Is that what we're afraid of? And you go, son of a bitch. Mm-hmm. You go, holy shit, I have to start over? Well, maybe not start over, but start understanding yourself a little bit differently. Wow. Okay, so when I throw that paper on the street, I'm really littering me. When I harm somebody else, I'm harming me.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Now, am I saying be a sheep? No. Am I saying be totally like, oh, you don't beat me up and I don't defend myself? I'm not saying that at all. We live in a world that doesn't everybody have that same understanding, so you have to be aware and fully conscious of it.
Right.
You know, so you understand me here, okay? We're not saying walk with blinders on. That's not what we're saying. But what if everybody had that same conscious thought in reality? Right. Where would we be? Where would our exploration of self be?
So how do we wake up to self? That's the
everything you think you know, everything you think you have ever been taught, everything you think you know right now or ever will know, throw it out the door. It means absolutely nothing. That which is truth will stay. That's what is false will go away. You have to totally become an open door to the reality of all that is. I assure you one thing. This is a fact. That God and Goddess, all that is, whatever you want to call it, has not one day ever left you in your life. Not one day. The energy of all things has never left you. And it is a part of you. It is who you are. It is a part of all things. It's what we all are. And when you can tap into that and fully understand the greatness that is you, then you would have no other choice but want to go ahead and present that to others. Because it's a driving factor that allows you to see yourself as something greater than what you originally thought. And you go, wow, there's much more to this than what I've thought. It's the whole shit. Yeah. Fuck. Going to work? What? Yeah. That's like, that ain't what this is about.
Right.
Obtaining things? Yeah, no. I'm not saying that those things aren't fun. I'm not saying that you cannot have those things. But that isn't your driving factor and the reason why you're getting them. You're getting them just because it's fun, not to have things or to acquire things.
Right.
You're going to go, wow. You're going to go, this is interesting, so I should get my hand in some dirt. You go, yeah, how fun is this? My kids used to do this all the time.
Right.
And now I'm playing in dirt. And now you're not just playing in dirt, you're actually cultivating life because you put a seed in the ground. Or, your whole thought process changes. And now you look at, that wasn't there before. No, it always was there. You just now awaken to it.
Right.
Right? Mm-hmm. That's why it's the great awakening or the awakening. I love when people say, why manifest? You didn't manifest anything. You've just awakened to what has already been manifested for you.
Right.
What has already been created for you.
Right.
Right? The ego does not like that. The ego wants to define it. The ego wants to control it. And the ego wants to box it. Uh-huh. God is not definable or controllable in any way.
Right.
And if you think you have any control in your life, you're sadly mistaken. Because like that, it could flip on a dime. And the universe could force you in a different direction. Mm-hmm. Like that. Like that. In that movie Castaway, right? Tom Hanks, you never know what the tide's going to brought in. One day the tide brought him in a sail.
Right.
Changed his whole world. You hear about this all the time, right?
Right.
Death in the family, lose a job, lose a loved one. All these things attribute to that. That the ego goes, no! I don't want it!
Right.
And they try to define it. They try to put all these things. I'm an evolved spiritual being. I'm self-aware. I'm sourced light. It's like, no. You're more than that and all of that. It's beyond you can even comprehend, right? So we start very small and we allow it to grow. Because if we give it to you all at once, it would just be too mind-blowing and you just would jump off a cliff. Mm-hmm. It's too much, right?
Right.
So the great question is, how do we go about doing it? Everything you think you know, everything you think you ever will know, everything you know right now or have ever been taught, throw it all away. That which is true will stay. That which is false will go away. Simple as that. Allow. All right? Next time you have an idea, try it. Try it. And see what happens. It might not work, but your goal is the same. The plan may change, but the goal is going to remain the same. Right? I have an idea for this. Try it. You know, am I hurting? Am I lying, cheating, or stealing and hurting people with this idea? Right? No. If I'm lying, cheating, and hurting people, then we know. Yeah, okay. That's not the way of God. Right?
Right. Absolutely.
Loving, peace, joyful. So, you know, what's my idea? Right? I'm trying to achieve this. Just that. Okay, then this is how I'm going to then try it. Right? Don't think of 9 ways to stop it before it even actually steps in the pool. Okay? Try it. Go out there and do it. Right? Fear. Does that help?
Yeah. Thank you.
Garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Fear is absolute garbage.
Yes, it is.
How many times in your life, just a quick question, have you been afraid of something and then you went and did it and you realize, shit, I'm not going to be afraid of it all?
Yeah, it wasn't so bad after all. Probably quite a few.
Then how long did you agonize in that fear before you actually did it and
lot.
realized, oh, shit?
A lot. And then you realize how stupid you are.
Well, yeah, maybe that's not the right word, you know, but yeah, but you do kick like, oh, geez, what an idiot, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Why did I wait so long?
Don't let fear stop you, okay? Realize that the ego is a lot of crap. That's not to say that all things are, we're not saying all things, it's not bad or good. It just is, right? But I'm going to tell you for the most part that, you know, most kids they just do. And if you're a child of God, be a child of God and use this earth as a playground for your fun. Go out there and experience yourself. Don't let fear stop you back from being you. With that, I'm John.
I'm Joni.
For Grow, Love, and Expand, remember, always love yourself, and spread that love. Please, please, please hit that like and subscribe button. Spread this message, spread the word. If this rings true to you in your heart, share it and spread it. Okay, and let's let the vibration of positive thoughts, positive energy, positive deeds change our reality. And that massive consciousness can help create a whole new world for all of us to live in. With that, peace. Have a wonderful rest of your day.